fascinating because a lot of times people forget that, like a rabbit or a mouse, we're vertebrates. We have a spinal column, so that our perception, our way of perceiving the world and understanding what is there can go off the rails.
Yeah, especially in that fight or flight thing too.
Yeah, when we flood ourselves with adrenaline. A lot of people like to scare themselves. You know, they kind of live in this kind of state of looking for something to worry about.
Yeah.
Even
get whipped up about it.
Yes, and it's another fascinating thing is that in even Western art forms, we start in alert. Whereas some of the more evolved or Asiatic or so forth art forms, the older ones, start in neutral. And neutral is where we should start. Clean the slate and then go into it.
I mean, babies start off kind of neutral, kind of in a way. I mean, except when they
they're,
come out,
they're not in a constant state.
Right. But then things start coming at them, and then they just react. But that's just them trying to figure out what's next.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Exactly. So, so all right. I want to ask also a little bit about you know, the work for me it was like an honor to be involved in some of this groundbreaking work. Which is a legacy of so many of your mentors and teachers. Like, it's like they gave you pieces in a big pot of humanity, and then you have, you know, crystallized it or moved it into this bioart. So what's it like to witness, like, each student or group or executives find the key or the porthole for them to center themselves in communication?
It's very beautiful. It's my art form. Instead of painting or even directing theater, what I do is I do these groups and people blossom. They just come into being a work of art.
Right. And that's why you could have 10 people in a room going through some of your various, you know, exercises, or we haven't even gotten into, but we don't have much time. The mask work, which I find to be like really, you just don't know when you place that up on your face, then everything
changes. Yes.
But if people witness that also, not in it, it is a very rich theatrical
it's very
kind
profound
of
for them.
Yeah,
yes.
profound experience. Yeah. So
it's true, and these are very, again, simple things.
Right. I mean, they're so simple. People be like, you want me to stare at a hole in the wall or look for a crack or look for the red dot on the camera, you know? And I mean, but when you do that, I mean, actually animals do more of that than we do. They just look for things, and then they and then they assess and they move on, or they just stay with it. It's kind of unbelievable. We're going to be running out of time, but we did talk about a lot of things. So we did that. Okay, we're going to get to this. Do you, now, we both studied with Clyde Vincent. That's how I met you. Then actually, when you get the book and you read the chapter, many of the early things she did to create her bioart, I actually got to be part of, which is pretty amazing.
You made it happen, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
For sure.
Like, she's like The Stronger, Mother Hicks, you know, Trojan Women, Three Sisters. I'm like, oh, I was in the base group. I was in base camp with everybody. But anyway, do you think, Clyde used to say, well, if you're a hunter, you can either go after it or you can sit and wait for it to come. Now, do you think bioart is a combination of sitting and waiting for it to come?
Bioart teaches you to pull back enough so that you know which one will get you what you want. Okay? Right. There's a French saying, reculer pour mieux sauter. It's from equestrian sport, okay?
Like
horseback riding.
When to pull up
when you go over a fence, you actually pull back on the horse. So the horse's legs, the horse is totally aware. Okay, so you say like, here we go, right? So you pull back for a better jump. So you do something that seems contrary. But so you want to go over, so you don't push.
Back, and then they go up.
and then they go
They
up
elevate,
and
yeah,
over.
Yeah.
And paradox is really part of it. All art has paradox within it. And so we find the situations that the most amazingly organic, complex, refined things happen so simply.
Well, that is really great. And guess what? We are simply almost finished with this interview, but it's been great. And